Now, hang on quickly. Is this the new build or the current build that you're playing, or is
I'm
that a
I'm on a
surprise?
I'm on a beta. Ben was like,
Oh,
"Play
okay.
the
So
beta,"
there,
and I was like, "Oh, okay," because I
so there
wasn't
might
bad
be
enough at the
some
regular game.
there might be some new things to see here. Hopefully, this is the version with Ben's balance difficulty fixed, or you're gonna die in the first room.
Oh, cool, cool. That was actually always a possibility.
What is up, guys? This is Quadash here. We are back with some Phantom Abyss question and answer week 5. I am so far behind. I've been meaning to get to it, but here we are. We're gonna catch up to where we are. I know they've actually been a couple weeks off, so it gives me time to get to right on board where they're at. So today we have with us, of course, our lovely JM from Devolver and Alex from WIBY, and let him introduce himself.
Greetings, intrepid adventurers, treasure hunters, seekers of the unknown, and welcome to Ask the Abyss. Hi, I'm JM from Devolver, and today we have Alex Butterfield from
Oh,
WIBY.
there's my hand. There we go. Trying to wave in the box. Hey, everyone. Keen to answer your questions.
Yeah, Alex is here to
Um,
answer questions. Alex, what are your...
um,
I've been told you have many titles.
oh, yeah, I'm a bit of an all-rounder, mainly design and coding related tasks. But yeah, amongst other things, I made the language and the backstory for the game. So any questions about that, most welcome. I think most of the other team members have been kicking them along to me when they've been asked.
Yeah, folks have really not expressed any interest in the language or the lore at all. It's been a real surprise.
So for our very first question, it is a trap room question where we have a lava floor that rises, or maybe a spike ceiling that falls. Alex, I'll let you answer that.
Will you introduce rooms with a rising lava floor or lowering spike ceiling, possibly to make the player choose between safety or treasure reward? That is definitely something we've talked a fair bit about, and it's top of the list for when we add a new type of room rather than just new rooms. So not sure where that sits on the back log, but definitely keen to get something like that in the game. Yes.
So I would be interested to see how they would kind of implement a lava floor or a spike ceiling. Just because I know that if you were to, let's say, fall or something like that, how would you start from the bottom of the room or from the top of the room? That's something that they would have to kind of solve, but that would be really, really cool to kind of add to that element. Not only do you have to run from the Devouring Rage, but you also have to run from the lava floor that is rising up, trying to get you. So I would be excited to see if they could implement that. But next would be also a very interesting thing to see how they would implement. I don't think they will based off of Alex's answer, but VR Phantom Abyss.
Have you ever thought of VR Phantom Abyss?
Whoa.
I have worked on a VR game once before and fairly confident that VR Phantom Abyss would make a lot of people throw up. Yeah, the speed at which you run past things, so it's the parallax motion that does, I guess, like clashes with your brain telling you you're not actually moving that causes the motion sickness. I get it very mildly, enough that I was definitely sympathetic when people were asking for a motion sick alternative to the drop roll. But then my very next task on the game after we fixed that was adding rotating rooms. So hopefully that hasn't made people sick again. They definitely feel less, they don't trigger me as much as the drop roll did. So. And I haven't heard too many people have an issue with it, but let us know if it is. Obviously, we don't want to make people feel sick.
So I think right now would be a good time to say that this actually takes place before the invasion update. Right now, JM is playing a beta version, which is why, if you notice at the end, he died when he had 2 hearts. So I remember the good old days where you, every time you fell off, you lost about a heart and a half to 2 hearts. Sometimes it was brutal. It was a brutal update. Now they kind of fixed that by now. But to go on to the point of VR Phantom Abyss, I think it would be really fun. I would love to play it. I don't really get motion sickness too bad, so I think I would be okay. Now the rolls did have me, but that was mainly because it would disorient of where to go. So that's why I took off the rules, not necessarily for motion sickness. But the next question is, It's going to be about the traps and why do they glow the colors of the Guardian. There's a practical reason why for the game wise, but people wanted to know lore wise why they glow the different colors, and here you go.
What else? What is the reason of the traps glowing in the Guardian's color lore wise? I can tell you gameplay wise so you don't forget who's chasing you. Oh, Fletch has a theory. Okay. My theory has always been that the Guardians that chase you also have omniscience and will set off traps when you get close. Could be. Definitely whichever Guardian is guarding the temple has a special bond to it. But at the moment, yeah, the only difference is the color of lights and the Guardian that's chasing you.
So if you've played Phantom Abyss since the invasion update, you know there's kind of two mobs that were introduced. One that I call the jack-o'-lanterns, and the other one is the doggies. Basically, one will follow you and one kind of lunges out at you. Now, Alex does add to the lore about them and why they are there.
He's real cute, though. He's like, wash.
So, yeah, these guys, they're like, from the lore point of view, right, you've got phantoms in the temple, you've got those souls that I guess get caught and put into the relics. They're the really strong souls. Most of the people, because obviously like millions of people have died in these temples at this point, most of them are just phantoms wandering around, but the souls that have any kind of value to the gods go into the relics, and then some of them also get put as guardians. So the guardians are kind of the best souls, and then the ones who weren't quite good enough to be guardians become these kind of defenders. And I don't think you've seen the homing mines yet either, but they've got faces as well.
It is cool to kind of see JM so hyped about the new update. I remember when it was still in development and we were all just so ready for something new in Phantom Abyss. Now, for those of you that are more into the language of Phantom Abyss, Alex kind of goes over some of the stuff about the interpretations that we, the community, have given him.
Have there been any cases where you preferred our interpretation of a glyph to your own initial idea for it? Any cases where details of the story may be changed after the fact due to this? I mean, I have said, and I still maintain, that the fan translation is the canon. So in that sense, the details of the story might not be exactly what I had in mind when I wrote, but they're very close, and I like the interpretation that the players have come up with. In terms of individual glyphs, yes, there is one. The glyph that is currently rainbow was initially I had intended as grey, but the reasoning the players chose for rainbow I really love, and it actually improves the poem panels that it's written on. So I'm just like, yeah, sweet, that's rainbow now. That's filtered back up to my own definitions.
With T4 in the making and T5 coming sometime in the future, the time it takes to complete a temple is going to take longer and longer, and some people just don't have that time to do a full run through. And this question has been brought up multiple times, but here's Alex's take on that question.
Are there any plans for something to allow you to skip to cabins or Inferno? I often have to go on a time budget. I have to game on a time budget, and it's hard to fit multiple lengthy Inferno runs in every time I sit down. That's a good question. Maybe there's room to do something like that. Oh, it's a secret. Okay. Apparently there might be plans, and I don't know what they are, but yeah.
I'm just going to say it out loud because I know what it is. Yeah. Play like I do. Short, quick runs. You can fit a lot of them into a 2-hour time period. You can fit a lot of them into a 10-minute time period.
Right. Yeah, it would be good to accommodate players who don't have a lot of time to play. So, yeah, I hope that we can, and it sounds like we will be supporting that in some unknown or not publicly announced way yet.
So I tried to avoid questions that were already fixed by the time Invasion came out, but this question about the blessings has been resolved as far as not getting a heart and a bonus heart at the same time. At least I haven't encountered that in a very long time. But the thought of new blessings coming out is really interesting, and the thought of tweaking the current blessings. I know that Lucky Landing, and Hover Slide kind of come to my mind as not the favorites for people that I know in the community, but let me know what you think, and here's what Alex thinks.
Are the blessing choices related to the temple seed, or does every phantom have a random selection at hand? No, they're completely random each time. I wrote the logic for that, so feel free to hit me up. I think there's still an outstanding issue that you sometimes get offered a heal 1 heart or gain a heart, and gain a heart is just always better, and I don't want that. Ideally, you want the choice to be between 2 things that you weigh up which is better for you. So, and I know occasionally there's a bit of controversy about, like, there's 2 blessings in particular that nobody wants, and sometimes you get offered a choice between them. If that's the case, I do actually want to look at the analytics, because we put analytics on players' choices of blessing, and if there's ones that are just always ignored, then I want to revisit them and make them a bit more powerful, because it shouldn't ever feel disappointing to get a blessing. You should be happy in some way with what's offered to you. And obviously there's plans in future to add more blessings as well. So that's probably when we'll circle back to that, if there's any blessings that need a bit of a boost.
Again, if you have any ideas of future blessings that you think would be interesting or cool, leave it down in the comments below. I would love to see kind of what everyone's thinking about new blessings. Again, with the update of Phantom Abyss, sandbags were introduced. I know when it first came out, everyone was kind of suspicious or confused on what they were and what was inside the bags, and here's what Alex has to say about that.
What do you put in the sandbag? Well, yes, I think I already answered that. That's where the money from subscribers goes. No, in my mind, you know how I said, like, the souls of the more valuable people who go in there and kill themselves. And when I say valuable, like, whatever's valuable to the gods, what gives their souls energy, like, you know, how strong and persistent they are, how brave they are, whatever, those kinds of traits. Like, the really good ones go into a specific item, and that becomes a relic. But the really rubbish ones, I'm going to say, become grains of sand, and that's what fills the bags. Though also there's an alternative angle that the sandbags are put there, Indiana Jones style, by players who've taken the relic. And I have no answer for the box. I don't know why the box is there. Maybe a courier came there, he got the wrong address, and he came all the way down into the temple, but he was a really brave and persistent courier, so his soul went into the box and it became a relic.
I love that little last part he puts about the fragile box, because that's one of the first questions I think most people thought about when they saw it, was why is there a fragile box in the Inferno? But who knows, it's just there. Anyways, speaking of people going into the temple, there is a story of the broken poet. Who is he? Alex is about to answer that.
How did the broken poet, writer of all those lore tablets, get into the abyss in the first place? What's their deal? Were they perhaps that first unnamed traveler who entered the temple when it was first built? They clearly had no intention of claiming the final relic, so why did they go in? Okay. Yeah, that's a good question. They're not the unnamed traveler who went in, definitely. They've just gone in as an employee of the king, essentially, or, well, probably don't get that much pay. As a person who works for the king, you know, those temples don't build themselves, right? So all of the builders, and in this case the poet who also would have been engraving those tablets, has gone in there to do the king's bidding, and then they've all ultimately one by one been sacrificed, but the poet decided he wanted to finish his life's work first, so he was there a bit later after the temple started emptying out of all the people who built it.
So this next question is actually my question that I asked when I was really into the lore. I haven't been following it too much. I don't know what they've added since the invasion update. But here you go.
Are the tier 1 relics that show the dragon snake different from the tier 2 snake and tier 3 dragon? I have pictures. Yep, I know what they look like. I'm trying to see if the snake is a guardian or maybe a motif that represents the phantoms, because in Mesoamerican mythology, snakes represent death and rebirth when it sheds its skin. Oh, that's cool. Are we shedding our skin every time we die and get rebirthed into a new temple? I love this. These guys are analyzing this way deeper than we have. But no, the snake and the dragon, we have some plans for what they are and why they appear so frequently in the temple, but they're not coming up in the immediate story stuff. That'll be quite late on in the story stuff, so I'll cover that. But there is a reason for the recurring motifs, like they are important to the culture of the civilization that built this place.
So as I said before, T4 is not even out yet. T5 is somewhere in the distant future, but for some reason people are curious about the 5th guardian. Like, we don't even know who the fourth guardian is, but here you go.
One of the loading screens is Altec surrounded by the 3 current Guardians with space at the top for a 4th. But from what the other devs have said, there's eventually going to be a 5th Zone Guardian. The lack of space for a 5th on that screen is interesting. Will Guardian 5 be Altec himself or related to him? The spirit of the king, perhaps?
I think I know the real answer. I think we can level with people. Fans,
Oh, okay.
the real 5th Guardian is you.
Ooh, maybe. If you're strong and brave and persistent
Strong
enough.
and brave.
If I am the 5th Guardian, according to JM, will we have a 4-headed ostrich as a Guardian? Interesting. Probably not. I don't think anyone's noticed this yet, but so far the 3 Guardians, one has 1 eye, one has 2 eyes, and one has 3 eyes. So my money's on the next Guardian having 4 eyes rather than 4 heads.
It's me!
But we'll see. Wait. JM is the 4th Guardian. Yep. Okay. You heard it here first. And I don't think we've really discussed the 5th Guardian in too much depth yet. But it'll be cool.
So like I said before, we are just barely getting to T4 and T5 is barely mentioned. So I'm happy to kind of see that motif of 4 eyes on the next Guardian. So at least we can kind of get like a mental picture of somewhat it would look like. I doubt it would be JM, but it'd be cool to have the 5th Guardian a 4-headed ostrich. I have no idea who asked that question, but they're probably a really cool person. But in Phantom Abyss, I know I die a lot, all the time. What happens to the phantoms when they die? This kind of goes along with the question I asked before about the shedding skin, but here's another take on it.
Okay. When we, the players, die in the sense of lore, what happens? Do we die or spawn again in the same temple? That's a good question. Obviously, your phantom stays behind, but then you can go into other temples and leave phantoms there as well. So I think in some senses, the phantoms are more like a sliver of your soul rather than your entire soul.
Oh, no. Oh, no!
Oh, that doesn't look
Oh!
Oh!
Snapple!
JM's getting better. It's good.
That was the smoothest thing I'll ever do.
It's all downhill from here.
It really is.
Oh, Snapple is the best response I think I've ever heard when someone did anything like that. But I had to include it. It was too good to not include. But I like the way that Alex answered that question. So where kind of like part of our soul is left behind. How much? Who knows? How much soul do we have? I don't know. It can't be an indefinite amount, but lore-wise, that's kind of how the story goes, which I really, really enjoy. But I think that is it. I think that's all the questions that we have for this week 5 Q&A. I had more questions lined up, but they all kind of got answered with the updates, so I didn't want to put them in. We're gonna work on week 6, and we're gonna catch up to Phantom Abyss. We're gonna get there. I promise. So thank you all for staying this far, watching this. Don't forget to like, subscribe, comment, all the fun stuff YouTubers tell you about. And I'm gonna have Alex and JM say their goodbyes.
Yeah, I hope that was an interesting insight into the lore and what's going on there.
That was terrific, Alex. Yeah, thanks for answering the questions. It's been a delight.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it was great to see you get to Caverns as well. So prove all the naysayers wrong.
Thank you. Mostly Josh. That guy.
He's waving at me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. And then we'll have we don't know who we have next week, but we'll have somebody next week.
My money's on either Murdoch or Cedar. So either art or sound. We'll see.
Nice. All right. Cool. Bye, Alex.
Okay. Thanks, everyone. See you. Thanks, JM. JM's looking at some lore. It's
all about the weight of bread.
Okay. Sure, we'll go with that.
This is a recipe for gluten-free. Look, you are abusing your power, Alex. Nobody wants gluten-free pita bread.
They're getting better. It's not as bad as it used to be.